Okay, we're live. Today is August 1st, 2018. Get ready for the Emerging Seed Broadcast System, the Forbidden History Series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Time to call your friends, ladies and gentlemen. We now interrupt your normal scheduled programming to bring you this very important deprogramming program. A special thanks to YouTube.com for hosting the Forbidden History Series. Please note that the following views, any opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, YouTube.com, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society. Nothing here is ever to be construed as medical nor legal advice, nor hate speech. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on the realpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way, twice a day, 7 days a week, on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. Good morning, Anna. Good to have you. Stand by for the broadcast. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio, in the heart of Amish country, and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History Series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here, the deprogramming program, setting the record straight, climbing any high building, catching up with all those bullets they've been shooting at us. It's the battle for the mind, ladies and gentlemen. The light is truth, and ignorance is the darkness. And these are the great antagonists, the one against the other. The battle for the mind. But once we can begin to comprehend the true nature of things, then we can begin to comprehend that there is nothing really more to complain about. And the best way to identify the truth is simply to identify the great lies of history. What we'll do right here this morning. The one who doesn't want to be in the know, to have the truth, is a slave who doesn't want to be free. Good morning, Ninja. The lies race around the world, ladies and gentlemen, but the truth is quietly putting on its shoes. Okay, Anna, but we get it recorded, so nothing lost. No worries. If you don't know where you're going, ladies and gentlemen, then any road will get you there. But it's a rough way to go. You can know the truth. And the truth will set you free while it makes you a fugitive in your own world. Quite a dichotomy. That's the nature of planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen. And they didn't want you to know that either, of course, but welcome to the broadcast, the Forbidden History Series. I'm your host, Desert Owl. a bird who sees in the night, and is trying to make sense out of the insanity that has been brought to us. We come into the world thinking, well, my teachers, they really like me, and my politicians, they you know they they're just here to serve us, then all of a sudden one day we start finding out everybody's been lying to us, and it's a crazy world, and so what are we going to do? We have to try to make sense out of it. We have to try to uncover the illusions, and to know the bigger agenda. And their game is a big game. It is the ultimate game, and it's about running a planet. Running a planet. The small nations are just plantations and imaginations. They bring them up and take them down like dominoes. It's all to serve their end and their purpose. Okay, most people will never be able to figure out how the game is played. That's because they want it that way. Okay, even their puppets don't really fully grasp how the game is played, and some of them are very often betrayed in the game. And so perhaps we should start the great lies of history with showing how they're so willing to give us the lie. How come they're so willing to feed us their bull, their papal bull. And so let's look into the Real Da Vinci Code etymological dictionary. It's more than a dictionary. It's an encyclopedia, actually. I should have mentioned that, because I know everybody's trying to figure out, okay, why would I want to buy a dictionary? But it's a compendium of a life experience, especially from a translating standpoint, but also from a political activist standpoint. In other words, this is a compendium of a number of things in 3 columns. So I have in here a definition for kol nidre, which is the oath that nullifies. And so once a year, the Jews around the world get together and they have a special dinner, and they absolve themselves from being bound by any oath. In other words, they can say what they want to say, they can lie, they can cheat, they can commit murder, and they can lie on the stand, and it's all okay because they're absolved from having to tell the truth. They're special class people, and they can tell lies on you and falsely accuse you of something, and it's okay because it's all part of their culture. It's a cultural thing, It's a cultural thing. Other people are just out minding their own business, trying to support their family, and then they've got occultists wanting to, do damage in our world. So, kol nidre, that's spelled K-O-L, and then second word N-I-D-R-E. Kol nidre, the oath that nullifies, the truth, and nothing but the truth. In America's court system, we rely on the assumption that all parties under oath are telling the truth. Without the truth, justice would be impossible to obtain. Imagine that someone taking an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God, had previously taken another oath nullifying all of his oaths, or her oaths. Bizarre concept? Read on. Should you ever be involved in a court action to ensure justice, there may be some additional questions you might want to add to your discovery process or disposition for the judge, or demand for bill of particulars for the attorney, parties to the action, or the members of your potential jury. This article is not intended to be prejudicial to either the Masons or to Jewish people, the vast majority of whom we assume are God-fearing, truly God-fearing people, whatever God means to them. It is merely a comment on those of any race or religion who could be so duped into taking such a ridiculous, un-American, treasonous, and dangerous oath. The following is based upon information from Robert Walker, P.O. Box 301, East Berlin, Pennsylvania, an authority on the subject who has used this information to obtain the resignation of 7 judges and public officials who did not want this made a matter of public record. Wow. Yet they're working for the public, aren't they? Supposedly. According to the American Heritage Dictionary of the American Language, the Kol Nidre is the opening prayer recited on the eve of Yom Kippur, containing a declaration of annulment for all personal vows and oaths. It is based upon the following declaration from the Babylonian Masonic Talmud, the most wicked document on the face of the entire earth, next to the Quran. He who wishes that his vows and oaths shall have no value must stand up at the beginning of the year and say, all vows which I will make during the year will be of no value. The prayer of Kol Nidre is found in volume 8, page 539 of the Jewish Encyclopedia. It says, all vows, obligations, oaths, anthems, whether they be Conan, Conas, or by any other name, by which we may be bound from this day of atonement unto the next, we do repent. May they be deemed absolved, forgiven, annulled, and void, thus made of no effect. They will not bind us, nor have any power over us. The vows will not be reckoned as vows. The obligations will not be obligatory, nor the oaths be oaths. This same prayer also may be found almost word for word in the volume of Revised Festival Prayers, published in 1919 by the Hebrew Publishing Company, New York. See Jesuit Oath, Masonic Oath. Okay, so let's look at the Masonic Oath, LM. I wasn't actually prepared to go to these other oaths. Masonic, M-A-S-L-M-N-P. Okay, I'm not seeing it here, so I'll bypass that for now. I can come back that tomorrow, perhaps. And but in contrast with that, we have a universal. When I was going through my political persecution, I had drafted what I call the Divine Universal Decree, all with the political right on natural reason and the most ancient authority. And so this was part of a declaration I was making. There are only 2 instruments that are needed for confirming or for expunging any matter or thing, and they are the sound natural reason that is found within the most ancient pure light and found within the most ancient authority, such as that which is found within the sacred scriptures, that is always found within Yahweh, the great breath of the wind and fire, within our own true organic nature. All political direction is inherent and remains solely within the people by the natural right. It is documented by the decrees that are found within all of the pure nature through nature's God, that is our great Heavenly Father, Yahweh. Yahweh, through his pure seed, Yeshua, the Mashiach, and then reaffirmed within the endless writings that are penned by our ancient founding fathers. Therefore, no other political power can lawfully nor peacefully exist unless it be derived from above and through a mutual consent from we, the sovereign and natural Native Americans, born here as the breathing blood of the earth, which in itself would be an impossibility for what our eternal great Father of light, Yahweh, has lawfully established in the pure shelter no one can deny. It would be an unnatural thing for the sovereign to give non-limited power to his servant, called a government, and yet, even as we were forewarned by our healing and redeeming light, Yavohe, Yeshua, the Mashiach, and by our founding fathers, so has history once again repeated itself toward the injury of many, and by a de facto foreign power run wild. All in this great land, what we call America, the pure, our asylum realm, for the common weal. Even now, in this very unique and ominous period of time in foreign occupation, in the 22nd day in the 9th month, 1998, in the year of our healer, the Redeemer, Yeshua, the Mashiach, in this 222nd year in the divinely ordained and the declared independence within America, in the common era, in the immortal age of light, and scribed by the hand of one, myself, who this day remains a political prisoner and who is denied every basic decency, along with the common natural right that our ancient nation once stood for, supposedly, but yet still does, all by the hand of Yeshua, within Desert Owl, his instrument, a diplomatic ambassador in Annex Official, the natural office for the traditionally peaceful men in Dominion, a natural American within a sovereign state, the separate, the pure, from the root beginning. The praise be for my light, Yavohe, my heavenly Father, for his ever-burning tree of life. In the Kaiva, the natural Eden, on the earth, the Shitar, the shelter, the pure shelter, all forms in all things, all within this one great cloud of mystery, a matter of state. It is still clear that no man can deny that our sovereign authority, the author Tai, our who is from above the all and hiding from deep within, the architect of our universe, in the one theme, our Heavenly Father, Yavohe, that is, Yavohe, our Redeemer, by enactment, and that said, let there be light. So indeed there is light. And with this came forth our common natural law. Within the shelter and within comes a non-written bond with the man, the creation, that says we are all equality, that is equally subject within it, and never separate from it, whether we deny it or not, for it is the natural, the synderesis, or the synderesis, being our organic, that is organic, the common natural law, within the pure nature, within and by the pure shelter below the sun, the cosmic sky above, upon this, the earth star. Our natural organic shelter, our common natural heritage, the common natural right is such as appertain within man, inherent within his own natural being, or plainly assured by the natural law, being distinguished from such as are created by man under the color of law, as in the phony Bill of Rights, which conveys no right, and is not a law, but a bill. A bill is only that which can be legislated into law. So a bill is not a law that is in effect, as it is not a law. So let's call the Bill of Rights then what it really is. It is really the fraud with no rights. You see, it was simply a man's pretense to give us something that we already have and had from our lawgiver from within. and from above, from the center of the sun, the throne of light, which is the first great symbol for the truth, all from the very beginning. Yet we do hold these truths as being self-evident, that all men are naturally created with the all equal right, all within our common natural law, within the pure shelter, and in spite of any status or pedigree of any kind. Yet some men do wish to live apart, and it is their own freedom and right to do so. It is also true that we are each endowed by our designer and maker with a clear and certain non-alienable natural right, and that among these are the natural right for life, freedom, that is, all free judgment, and the non-attached pursuit for happiness through the enlightenment, being the fulfillment for life. So it is clearly and commonly the pure knowing to be comprehended by all, just as history has taught us well that corrupt merchant men cannot legislate rules, nor codes, nor legislated acts for the sovereign people and the free men, unless it be by each of their own separate and own pure consent, on the general principles of the natural law, the sound reason, our own healing guide is to be found within each and every one of us, respecting the following: our pure organic law within the body asylum, the pure body called out, all within Yeshua, the Mashiach, commonly known as Jesus the Christ, the pure shelter on the land, as it is called America the natural, the non-political being the only cure. And then I go into 12 articles that I drafted for this document, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to read that, but it's part of the Real Da Vinci Code Etymological Dictionary, the 300-page document that I have been referring to. And you can get a copy, of course, for any size donation by going to the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network, the realpublicradio.net. Okay, and so that's that. And let's get us into some words that they killed us with. Love those words that kill. And I want to welcome any new listeners to the broadcast today. And don't forget, you are welcome to call in if you'd like to. Maybe you have a word that you want to share, not just a great lie of history, but maybe you know of a word that you scoped out that you know that something isn't right with it, or and so you're welcome to also bring that on, and we can do it, take a look at it, do an analysis. But in the Pirate Sea of Words, we have well, I've got a book here that I've drafted basically, and I've just been reading out of it a little bit every day. And you're talking about the fraud of rights. There you go, the fraud of rights. That's the way to put it. And yeah, it's and that's why knowing the words is important, because you can know it's a fraud just based on the words that are being used. Okay, so Ninja, you're saying I have a book on Masons. It's a let me move this thing. I can't read it. Okay, it is in storage. I'll look later. Will be interesting to compare. Okay, very good. Yeah, they have a lot of books all on supposedly, an enlightenment, but they have a legacy of blood, and there's no enlightenment in a legacy of blood and murder and deception and lies and deceit. One for all and all are for none. They brag about in Morals and Dogma, they wage all revolutions. They're proud to announce that they wage all revolutions, meaning they're the ones creating all the wars, all the riots, all the stuff that goes on. It's all engineered. Social engineering. The leaders of all of these different movements typically are the shills that are put there. That are put there to disrupt our world, to keep us off balance, because they're running the world secretly for the unseen hand, for the Vatican and the unseen hand, and therefore They've got to keep us off balance. It's a continual job, to do that. So so in the piracy of words under the word equality, continuing here, equality, it may originally have been the A again. That A has been supplemented by the E almost across the board, so it could actually be the A quality. A being first, right? A being the symbol of the sun, the most powerful, so it makes sense that it would be the A quality. And all are equal under the law, unless a Mason, of course, yeah, or a Jew, because they're the only ones that qualify themselves as flesh and blood according to the Babylonian Talmud. So that all are legal above the law except for them who think they're above the law. See, super sovereignty. That's actually what the secret societies claim, is a super sovereignty, because they know they're super duper and they can go right into court and give the grand handling sign and wiggle their ears and do a little belly rub and presto magical. They don't have to go to court or go to jail or anything else, and just wash the car of the Grand Poobah, who runs the Masonic Lodge. Just keep his car polished and they'll let him walk. So super sovereignty. Then the pirate sea. Well, we know it's all about a pirate sea. That's what it all came down to, right? And they could lower that stars and bars flag and raise the pirate flag anytime they wanted to, right? It's just a switch out. Same group of people. They just switch out their flag when they need to. And then they reveal who they really are. Skull and bones, right? Pirates. There's the word pi right there. Pi means divided into two parts. You got the good face, you got the bad face, So escrow from the French, to defraud. Oh, geez, there's a good word. So you're going into escrow, are you? Okay. Well, in French, it means defraud. So have at it. Number 2. Then there's the crow's nest, talking about that escrow. Escrow again. The crow's nest. See also E for the eye. S is for the sun. And C for the moon, the crescent. And R for keep on rowing. Keep on rowing. R for rowing. Yeah, there you go. Anagram backwards is war cases. So escrow in the reverse anagram backwards is war cases. Just have to change out a letter or two, vowel. Okay. So the escrow war cases, that makes sense. And ethics. Well, there's one. The word they didn't want you to know, because they're into morals. They want more. They want it all. And they didn't want you to even think about ethics, them being ethical. They just want their moral. They want more. They want it all. Okay, and they're gonna get it all, because they took away your right to be free, and you're going to be told what to do and what line to stand into, because they got their military police state. You were declared the enemy, and there's no going back. There is no freedom. It is an illusion. Only freedom is within. The freedom without is based on the limitations they're going to put around your state. Okay. If you know the right words, though, if you know, don't answer questions, but ask questions, right? King, ask king. The king is asking questions. Ask king. Asking. If you're the king, you're asking. Okay. You're not answering. You're not answering questions. Unless you're a slave. Ethics of the highest order. That's the, and again, the letter A is probably the original, so it'd be athex. Athex. Of the highest order, the ether, C, etheric, and morals. Exile. No longer an island. C, EX versus ECH. Yeah, the X is a code that destroyed certain patterns in words, so we wouldn't get the picture. But the X, is the ek, like is a CH. Okay, so just be aware of that, and when you're reading a word, switch it out and realize how they play that little game right there with that. It has to do with the ECH, is the ek, um, as we find it in uh, lection, and elect. Okay, and so the ECH, we find it in Malek, ek, ECH, Malek. So it is a prime parent root that um, is the one place where the E is actually being used in a valid way, because the mal, the A is on the front prefix, then it becomes the E in the suffix, and it's implying that there is a transition from the one world, that is hidden, to the visible world. Okay, so we have to see these things on a supernatural and on a mystical plane, because it is coming from the highest plateau and our source for all life. Okay, we'll just cap it off with the letter F. We're into the alphabet letter F now. A symbol of the creation, goddess, the goddess. But F, of course, is the corruption, because it's supplementing the pH. It's actually a form of the word E, the letter E. You see, they just took off the bottom symbol of the age, because the E's that has the capital E has the three prongs like a rake, and the bottom one is off on the F, showing they hid the light. It's a code showing they hid the light. They changed the prime root of creation from a PH to an F. There's your occultic right there, playing their little European trickery while they developed all the different European sister nations. So a symbol of creation, known occultically as Fe, Phi, Fe, Pe, Fe, Frey, Freya, and other, of course, also related to Columbia and Isis and Diana, all of that. As you can see, oh, and I should include Zeus. Okay, that's the hidden woman also. As you can see, she is the one who demands a fee. The Fae demands a fee, with the balances in her hands when you receive payment. See Columbia, Lucifer, Indrani, Lord, known by a different name by every ancient culture, but known by all as the hidden woman, the Madonna, Mother Adonai. The ancient cultures worship the mother versus the father. See Fe, Fe'er, and the three L's next. And when we pick it back up, we'll be on fair trial. That's something we'd all like to have, right? Fair trial? Absolutely. Just what the doctor ordered. And good morning, Sundog. Right. Well, again, remember, Fey is originally a good word. It's Phay. It means the creative eye, the eye of creation, the woman, the sun, representing the virgin light as it's falling, is the woman that is revealed, versus the hidden woman, which represents the darkness. But so the Fae, they just did a hatchet job on the Fae, and then they called her by other names, Isis, Lucy, and all that. So okay, so there is our words for today, and hope everybody out there is doing okay today. All right, and we're now into the history of the church. And if anybody has a comment or a question, the line is open. Love to hear from you. I'm still feeling my voice is a little rusty this morning, so I'll probably be cutting this one shorter than this morning to save my voice. But I want to do my reading here. Okay, so we're in the page 85 now in the history of the church, and we're in 13 as it's about Simon Magnus and Kefe at Rome. As faith in our Savior and Healer, Yeshua the Mashiach, was now spreading in all directions, the enemy of man's salvation, in a wily attempt to capture the imperial city in time, brought there Simon, who was mentioned earlier, and by lending his own weight to man's artificial impostures, took possession of many people in Rome and led them away. I guess it means captured their minds. This we learn from Justin, an ornament of our victory of light after the apostles' time. I will state the essential facts about him in due course. In his first defense of our doctrines to Antonius, he writes, after Yahweh, after the Lord, our great healer, was taken up into the throne of the Son, the dark natures put forward a number of men who claimed to be enlightened. These not only escaped being persecuted by you, but were actually the objects of worship. For example, Simon, that is Shimon, a Samaritan from a village called Githo, who in Claudius Caesar's time, thanks to the art of the dark natures who possessed him, worked wonders of magic. In your imperial city of Rome, it was regarded as a deity, and like a deity was honored by you with a statue by the river Tiber between the two bridges. It bears this inscription in Latin, Shimone Diu Sancto. Almost all Samaritans and a few from our other nations as well acknowledge him as their principal deity and worship him. And a woman named Helen, who traveled around with them at the time, had previously lived in a brothel. They call first emanation from him. This is Justin's version, and it is supported by Irenaeus, who in book 1 of his Heresies Answered gives a brief account of the man and his unholy, sordid teaching. To reproduce the latter in the present work would be superfluous. Those who wish can learn about all the origins and lives of the heresiarchs who followed him, the basis of their false doctrines, and the practices they introduced, for they are most carefully described in the work of Irenaeus mentioned above. Let me just get a clip. Hold this back here. Simon, Shimon, we are given to comprehend, was the prime author of every heresy. From his time to our own, those who followed his lead, while pretending to accept the sober Christian philosophy, which through purity of life has won universal fame, are as devoted as ever to the idolatrous superstition from which they seem to have escaped. They prostrate themselves before pictures and images of Shimon himself and his companion, the Helen already mentioned, and give themselves to worshiping them with incense, sacrifices, and libations. Their more secret rites, which they claim will so amaze a man that when he first hears them that in their official jargon, he will be wonderstruck, are indeed something to wonder at, brimful of frenzy and lunacy, and of such a kind that not only can they not be put down in writing, they involve such appalling degradation, such unspeakable conduct, that no decent man would let a mention of them pass his lips. For whatever could be imagined more disgusting than the foulest crime known has been outstripped by the utterly revolting heresy of these men who make sport of broken women, and burdened indeed with vices of every kind. Of such vices was Shimon, the father of and contriver, raised up at that time by the dark power which hates all that is good and of the light, and plots against the salvation of mankind, to be a great opponent of great men, our Savior's inspired legates, apostles. Nevertheless, divine and celestial grace worked with its ministers by their advent and presence, speedily extinguishing the flames of the blind one before they could spread, and through them humbling and pulling down every lofty barrier raised against the knowledge of Yahweh. Consequently, neither Shimon nor any of his contemporaries managed to form an organized body in those days of the royal messengers, for every attempt was defeated and overpowered by the light of truth and by the divine word himself, who had so recently shone from Yahweh on men, active in the world and eminent in his own royal messengers. The impostor of whom we have just been speaking, as though his mind's eye had been struck by a divine miraculous flash when of light when earlier in Judah his mischievous practices have been exposed by the royal messenger Kephe himself, Peter, promptly undertook a very long journey overseas from east to west and fled precipitately, thinking that only so could he live according to his inclinations. He arrived in Rome, where he was greatly helped by the power that awaited its opportunity there. And in a short time, his efforts met with such success that in a short time, that the citizens actually set up a statue of him and honored him as a god. However, this success of his was short-lived. Close on his heels, in the same reign of Claudius, the all-gracious and kindly providence of the universe brought to Rome to deal with this terrible threat to the world the strong and great royal messenger, chosen for his merits to be spokesman for all the others, Kephe himself, even Peter. Clad in the divine armor, like a noble captain of Yahweh, he brought the precious merchandise of the spiritual light from the east to those in the west, reaching out to the creation of the perfect report, the star message of light itself, and the soul-saving Shavor word, the proclamation of the royal domain of pure judgment of light from the throne of the sun. Thus, this is how, when the divine word, the Shavor, had made its home among them, Shimon's power was extinguished and destroyed at once with the man himself. So brightly shone the light of true spirituality on the minds of Kephe's hearers that, not satisfied with a single hearing or with the oral teaching of the divine message, they resorted to appeal of every kind to induce Mark, whose star message we have, as he was a follower of Kephe, to leave them in writing a summary of the instructions they had received by word of mouth, nor did they let him go till they had persuaded him, and thus became responsible for writing what is known as the Gospel according to Mark. It is said that on learning by revelation of the Spirit what had happened, the royal messenger was delighted at their enthusiasm and authorized the reading of the book in all the body of the called out circle. Clement quotes the story in Outlines Book 6, and his statement is confirmed by Bishop Papias of Hierapolis, who also points out that Mark is mentioned by Kephe in his first letter, which he is said to have composed in Rome itself, as he himself indicates when he speaks of the city figuratively as Babylon. The church in Babylon, chosen like yourself, sends you greeting. and does so my son Mark. Mark is said to have been the first man to set out for Mitzrayim and reach out to the creation there, the star message, which he himself had written down, and the first to establish churches in Alexandria itself. So large was the body of followers, men and women alike, built there the first attempt with an extremely severe rule of life, and that Philo decided that he must record in writing their activities, gathering, meals, and everything else about the way of living. Well, for Mark to have established those things there, it was too far down the road for that to happen. So I'm surprised that Eusebius makes that statement, because it was just too. That was several. We're talking like 3 decades later, okay, and right out the gate, real soon, we had followers in Alexandria and Mitzrayim, not Egypt, but Mitzrayim, and so there's a lot of enigmas in history. Unless you've got the right resource, then you could you know be reading some other account that is not necessarily correct. So there's always a lot of sifting to do through the historical accounts, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and so I'm going to put that right there. And I'm just going to, before I go into the original gospel, where I read in the original thought, I'm going to just take us to a musical interlude real quick. And just for the record here, we are on chapter 18, the great feast of the Judeans, when Joseph and Mary and their son and many other relations went to Jerusalem. This is when Yeshua was 10 years old. Okay, so that's coming up next. And don't forget, you're also always welcome to call in just to say hi real quick if you just want to say a quick hello, or if you again have a question, great lie history, or a word that kills. Bring them on. Okay, love to hear from you. I'll be right back. You're tuned in right here to the RealPublicRadio.net, Free America Radio Network. Okay, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Forbidden History series. And by the way, when we pick it up in the history of the church, we will be picking it up with Philo's account of the aesthetics in Mitzrayim, aka Egypt. Okay, so a little more insight in Philo. Philo is a relevant character, and I've got to get back to reading some more of his material. I just did an introduction on it, and then got diverted again. There's so many directions that we can go in here. But love reading the original gospel. It's my favorite story of Yeshua. It is the original. Okay, you just have to read it and see it for yourself. Chapter 18. The great feast of the Judeans was on, and Volshaph and Mare and their son and many other relations went to Jerusalem. And the youth was 10 years old, and Yeshua watched the butchers kill the lambs and birds and burn them on the altar in the royal title of Yahweh. And his tender heart was shocked at this display of cruelty, and he asked the serving Amen priests, "What is the purpose of this slaughter of the beasts and birds? Why do you burn their flesh before Yahweh?" And the Amen Kalnun priest replied, "This is our sacrifice for closing the eyes. Yahweh has commanded us to do these things and breathe that in these sacrifices all our darkness and blindness are blotted out." Then Yeshua breathed, "Will you be kind enough to tell me when Yahweh proclaimed that the closing of the eyes are blotted out by the blood sacrifice of any kind? Did not David breathe that Yahweh requires a sacrifice for closing the eyes, that it is closing the eyes itself to bring before his face burnt offerings as offerings for closing your eyes? Did not Ishael breathe the same thing?" The Amen priest replied, "My youth, you are beside yourself. Do you know more about the law and the shelter of Yahweh than all the Amen priests of Israel? This is no place for boys to show their wit." But Yeshua did not listen to his insults, but he went to Hillel, the caliph of the Sanhedrin, and he breathed to him, "Seed planter, I want to talk with you. I am disturbed about this service of the Feshach feast and festival. I thought the temple was the house of Yahweh, where love and kindness dwells. Do you not hear the crying of those lambs, the pleading of those doves that men are killing over there? Do you not smell that awful stench that comes from the burning flesh? Can men be kind and right and still be filled with this kind of cruelty? A Yahweh who takes delight in sacrifice and in blood and burning flesh is not my Father Yahweh. I want to find the Yahweh of the divine love. And you, my mother's star, you are wise, and surely you can tell me where to find the great Yahweh of love." But Hillel could not give an answer to the youth. His heart was stirred with sympathy. He called this youth over to him, and he laid his hand upon his head, and then he began to weep. And he breathed, "There is a Yahweh of love, and you will come with me, and hand in hand we will go forth and go out and find the Yahweh of love." And Yeshua breathed, "Why do we need to go anywhere? I thought that the Yahweh is everywhere. Can we not purify our hearts and drive out cruelty and every wicked thought and make within the temple where the Yahweh of love can live?" The mother star of the great Sanhedrin felt as though he was himself the child, and that before him stood a great seed planter, a mother star of the highest light. And the eye breathed within himself, This child is surely a navigator sent from Yahweh. Then Hillel sought out the parents of the youth and asked that Yeshua might stay with them and learn the precepts of the Orah, the written law, and all the lessons of the temple priests. His parents gave consent, and Yeshua did not stay with the only true anointed his parents gave consent. Yeshua then stayed within the pure temple in Jerusalem, and Hillel plowed and planted within him every day. Every day, the Mother Star learned from Yeshua many lessons about the higher life, and the youth remained with Hillel in the temple for a year, and then returned to his own home with the community of the Nazarene, and there he worked with Volshaf as a architect and a builder, a serpent naga who constructs things. 19. And let me see how long this next one is. Not too bad. I'll do one more. 19. Again, the great feast in Jerusalem was on, and Volshaf, Mare, and their son were there, and the youth was 12 years old. And there were Judeans and proselytes from many countries within Jerusalem for the festival, and Yeshua sat among the Amen Kohanim, priests and doctors in the temple hall, and Yeshua opened up a book of prediction and teaching and read, Judgment belongs to Ariel, the mother's citadel of the air. That's Jerusalem. I will dismantle Ariel, and she will groan and weep. And I will camp against her round about with a hostile army. That's Rome, 70 AD. And I will bring her down, and she will speak out from the earth with a muffled voice, like a familiar spirit shall she speak. Yeah, she will only whisper forth her speech. And enemies unnumbered, like the grains of dust, will come upon her suddenly. And Yahweh of the only true stars will visit her with thunder and with tempests and with storm, with earthquake and with devouring flames. It is true throughout all time, all these people have deserted me. They draw close to me with their speech, and yet with their lips they honor me. Their hearts are far away removed from me. Their fear for me is that inspired by blood of the earth. And I will breathe an adverse breath upon my people, Judah. The wisdom of their wise blood of the earth will be lost. The knowledge of their prudent men will not be found. My people seek to hide their counsel from Yahweh so that their works may not be seen. They fain would cover up their works with darkness of the night and breathe, who sees us now? Who knows who we really are? The poor, foolish men. Shall that which has been made say about its maker, he is no great power? I made myself. Or shall the pot speak out and say to him who made the pot, you have no skill, you do not know anything? But this will not forever be. The time has come with Lebanon, as it will be filled a fruitful field, and fruitful fields will be transformed into groves, orchards. And on that day, the deaf will hear the words of Yahweh, and the blind will read the book of Yahweh's remembrance. and suffering ones will be relieved, and they will have abundant joy, and everyone that needs will be supplied, and it will come to pass that all the simple-minded will be made wise. The people will return and sanctify the only true anointed one, and in their heart of hearts, it is truth throughout all time, they will reverence him. When Yeshua had read this, he put aside the book and breathed, "You mother stars of the law, will you please make plain for us the navigator's Shavor's words?" Now Hillel sat among the mother stars of the law, and he stood up and he breathed, "Perhaps our young seed planter here who has read the Shavor will then be the interpreter." And Yeshua breathed, "The Ariel of the navigator is our own Yerushalayim. By selfishness and cruelty, this people has become a stench unto the great Elohim, the Elohim. The navigator saw these days from far away, and about these times he wrote, our doctors, lawyers, priests, and scribes oppress the poor, while they themselves live in luxury. The sacrifice and the offerings of Israel of Judah are but abomination unto the great Elohim. The only sacrifice that Yahweh requires is self. Because of this inequity and cruelty of blood of the earth against blood of the earth, the only true anointed pure great breath of the one has spoken of this commonwealth. It is truth throughout all time. I will overturn. Yes, I will overturn. It will be overturned, and it will be no more until the eye comes whose right it is for breathing, and I will give it unto him. In all the world there is no natural law of right, and he who breaks that law will suffer grief, for Yahweh is equitable. And Judah has gone far astray, has not regarded justice nor the rights of blood of the earth, and Yahweh demands that Judah reform and turn again to the ways of purity, as if our people will not give ear to the voice of Yahweh. It is true throughout all time. Nations from afar will come and sack Jerusalem and tear the temple down and take our people captive into foreign lands. That was finished in 68 through 70 AD by Titus Vespasian, written about by Josephus. But this will not be forever, though they be scattered far and wide and wander here and there among the nations of the earth, like sheep that have no shepherd or guide. The time has come when Yahweh will bring again the captive as the only true stars, for Judah will return and dwell in the shalom of eternal peace. But now it's talking about the spiritual Israel. That's the distinction that has to be made. It's the spiritual end product that Israel was pointing to in the symbols and the metaphors. Okay, because it's not to be construed with the physical Israel again. It was always talking about the perfection of man. That's what it was about. Okay, and after many years, our temple will be built again. But he's talking about the inner temple, the high, inside yourself. And one whom Yahweh will honor, one in whom the pure in heart delight will come, and as the sunrise into the house of Yahweh, and reign in the perfection of light. When Yeshua had said this, he stepped aside, and all the people were astonished and breathed, "This surely must be the Mashiach." And I'll just do this little last part in this section here, and we'll be on to the next one. Okay, chapter 20. The great feast of the Feshach was ended, and the Nazarei community were journeying towards their home. And there were in Samaria, and Mare breathed, "Where is my son?" No one had seen the boy. And Yosef, Volshaf sought among their relations who were on their way back to Galilee, but they had not seen him. Then Volshaf, Mare, and one of the sons of Zebedee, which would have probably been Yochanan, John, because they were boyhood friends, returned and sought through all Jerusalem, but they could not find him. And then they went up to the temple courts and asked the guards, "Have you seen Yeshua, a fair-haired boy with deep blue eyes, 12 years of age, around these courts?" And the guards replied, "Yes, he is in the temple now, disputing with the doctors of the law." And they went in and found him as the guards had breathed. And Mare breathed, "Why, Yeshua? Why did you treat your parents this way? It is truth that we have been seeking for you for 2 days. We feared that some great harm had overtaken you." And Yeshua breathed, Do you not know that I must have been about? Would you not know that I must have been about my Father's work, but in his house? But he went round and pressed the hand of every doctor of the law and breathed, "I trust that we may meet again." And then he went forth with his parents on their way to Nazareth, where they reached their home, and he worked with Volshaf as a nagash, which means could mean a carpenter. It's a wood twister, one who bends wood. One day, as he was bringing forth the tools for work, he breathed, "These tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things are made of thought and where we build up character. We use the square to draw out all of the lines, to straighten out the crooked place of the way, and make the corners of our conduct square. We use the compass to draw circles around our passions and desires to keep them in the boundaries of the perfection of light. We use the axe to cut away the knotty, useless, and ungainly parts and make the character symmetrical. We use the hammer to drive home the truth and pound it in until it is a part of every part of our being. We use the plane to smooth the rough, uneven surface of joint and block and board that go to build the temple for the truth. The chisel line and the plummet and the saw all have their uses in the workshop of the mind. And when this ladder, with its trinity of steps, the victory of light, hope, and love, on it we climb up to the dome of purity and life. And on the 12-step ladder we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that which life is spent for building, the temple of the perfected blood of the earth, the perfect man. And when we pick it back up, we'll be in section 6, Val, the life and works of Yeshua in India, where it really starts to get interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And there you have the forbidden history, the original gospel, breathed with original thought. I hope you all got something out of the reading this morning. It is the greatest story never told. It's what they didn't want you to know. We tell right here. So as you go on your day, I hope these words will pass through your mind again and may have been a part of inspiration for you to continue reaching up. And eternity is a long time, ladies and gentlemen, and our time here is very short. So I wish all of you to be able to unravel the great mystery of life and be set free. Thank you, Anna. And thank you, Mew Mew, Ninja, and do tell your friends about the broadcast, won't you? I'd love to hear from you. Welcome all your comments. And we all need it, don't we? That's right. You're welcome, Ninja. Thank you. So don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you are wanting to know the future, your future, where it is that we all go, then you need to look for the Forbidden History right here, twice a day, 9 a.m. in the morning, 9 p.m. in the evening, Eastern Time, on the realpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. I'm Desert Owl, thanking you for tuning in. We'll look for you this evening. Be safe.